however many devices they allow you. So you could essentially probably get it on your
I
phone
got
as
tired
well.
of paying so
And
much
it would
money
run
for
off the
direct
TV
TV.
remote. You don't have to
Mhm.
get
Crap's
the phone
expensive.
connected.
Mm-mm.
Turn it
Shoot, my
Probably.
aunt
I'm
pays
sure it's just like every other
nothing
app.
else to
Yep.
do. She gave
You could do it
me
either
over.
way.
She pays
So that's
$180 a
probably
month.
going to be the cheap.
Direct
DirecTV
TV.
isn't going to give it to you for 19 a month.
It's crazy. $185, I think
Never
she
know.
pays.
And is it available to hook up right now?
It says it is.
Mm-hmm.
When do they start?
Up on Douglas
Usually
Road.
by the end of spring
North of
training, they
522.
start broadcasting some of those games. Is there a schedule that tells any of that?
Get ABC and all this.
No.
I don't see anything yet.
Mine come out of like
Chris? Michelle, you ready?
Lansing area. Michelle.
Tuning the soundboard. You ready?
Spinning the ones and twos.
Yes.
Okay. Call the meeting to order. It's Montcalm County Board of Commissioners, regular meeting for Monday, March 9th. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vice Chairman Peterson.
Pastor Dennis Ross, join us in prayer, please.
Thank you. Heavenly Father, once again, we thank you for what you've given to us. We thank you for just a beautiful place to live. We pray for our commissioners as they work with each other, as they work with the leaders in our community, as they work with the people in our community, that you continue to help them to work together and do what's right, what's pleasing to you. We pray this in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Alexander,
Here.
Johnston,
Here.
Peterson,
Yes, ma'am.
Johnson,
Present.
Mahar,
Here.
Carr,
Yes.
and Murray.
Here. And everyone's here. Super quorum. On tonight's agenda, I don't have any changes to make. Does anyone else?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Johnston.
I would move to approve our agenda as presented.
Support. It's been moved and supported to approve our agenda as presented. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Everyone have a copy of the meeting minutes from Puerto Vallarta, February 23rd, 2026. Comments, questions?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Johnston.
I'd move to approve our minutes from the February 23rd, 2026 regular board meeting as presented.
Support. It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, February 23rd, 2026 as presented. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. Did Dale have one?
Yeah, he filled out a card.
Public comments?
Come on.
I go to the library, get some books and read them. I read quite a bit. And I come across, I don't know why I picked this book out. It was about Frank Kelly, the Attorney General for Michigan. For 37 years, nobody in the history of the United States will ever beat that because of term limits. So in his book, I read this, came across a book called The Country Lawyer. And he said that he took that book and he read it that day, that night, and then read it through the next day, and he finished it, and he said to himself, I want to be that kind of lawyer. And I've read about 70 pages out of 317, and I recommend this board read it. And a lot of that has to do with this situation we got where the judge said something. And I don't know if you've seen Saturday's paper. I just seen it today where Gangster responded. And some of the things that Attorney Gangster said, I agreed completely. And so anyway, one of the things that I read too with Helter Skelter was written by the prosecutor that put Charles Manson and the family in jail. And he quoted from the Canon of Ethics, which is written by the American Bar Association, that states that the prosecutor's job is to seek justice for the families and their victims, not what you think should be done and what's right, not what I think should be done and what's right. I'm not going to get too much into the judge because I don't want to mess around with somebody and try to tell, like you, Mr. Chairman, how to put a fire out in a house when I don't have any experience in training. You know, so that's the way I look at it. So then, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So I did a little research on the judge, and I looked up and I found that there was a lady that worked for the judge when he was a prosecutor. She became a judge in March of 2016. She worked from 2808 to 2018 and retired after 10 years as a legal secretary. The judge had 3 legal secretaries in 2016. That's what the roster says. So I'm back at it. Since I'm not an expert and I don't know how to staff a prosecutor's office or anything like that, or the judges, he tells what he wants. And so then I employed this board to get a legal secretary. You're swamping these lawyers with too much. We have a high crime rate. We got things. This is embarrassing. I mean, it's like you got a guy killed a guy in Greenville. He was from Lakeview, and then you got all this stuff with child abuse cases going on. It's embarrassing to this county. We're going downhill. Now, the last thing I want to bring up is I read a book by a guy that built houses. I did a little building with my brother, just not much. And so it interested me because he built a house when he was from 1950 on, or from before that. Yeah, 1950 on. He got in the service, and they kind of favored him for some reason. So he was a carpenter. So he went, they asked him, do you want to go to Greenland? He said, okay, yeah, Greenland, Well, anyway, Greenland they wanted an airstrip, and they wanted to build a building. He built this, these metal buildings that are dome-like. That's what he built. Then he heated it in Greenville. So this thick building you want for the doghouse, costly. It would be cheaper to build that metal building. And they could do it fabricated in a way to look like a barn. So
Okay,
that's all I want to say.
thank you. Any other public comments? If not, Vice Chairman Peterson with tonight's correspondence, please.
Okay, starting out, we are going to start with the HMEP grant. Eric mentioned it at the last meeting. He's here to talk about it, if you'd like.
Would you like?
Well, I don't know. Would you like? It's a yearly thing, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of the same old. This is the grant that we apply for and submit each year that will give us, it's kind of got 2 different parts to it. This part will give us $1,500 to go around to all of our countywide hazmat sites and make sure that all the plans are current and updated and all that. And then our plan does get approved then later on in the year. Then there's a chance that we get kind of leftover money, so to speak, for jumping through the hoops and doing all of the right things and all that. And last fall, we actually got a little over $9,000 of kind of leftover money, so to speak, because we do the grant and we go through all the stuff. So it's the same thing that we've done each year in the past. Nothing new, no real change.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Eric? If not, I would move to allow for the submission of the fiscal year 2026 HMEP grant as presented.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next up on page 17 is a 2024 state and local cybersecurity grant program. We have been chosen to receive more grant funding for cybersecurity. Brenda, did you want to talk about this at all?
Sure, that's that one I told you about last time. I'm asking Doug to shut the window over the door, sorry. The one I talked to you about last time that I said was coming for that dual MFA project where we'd already done part of the project already for the lien users. So this would get the rest of us. So we'll probably only use maybe 40,000 of that grant, maybe a little more. But they told me just to go ahead and approve it and use what we needed and
Send the rest back, I'll bet.
yeah, well, it's a reimbursement one, so we won't
okay.
get it till we spend it. So But that's what it's for.
Does anybody have any questions about the cybersecurity grant program?
Make our
Yeah, I got it.
network more secure.
Is there something else you could spend the rest of the grant on?
No, they wrote it for just that
Oh,
project.
did they? Okay.
Mhm.
Seems like we need that animal control building cybersecure.
I like it. All right, if nobody's got anything else, I would move to authorize the acceptance of the 2024 state and local cybersecurity grant program in the amount of $121,964 and allow for the appropriate signature. Support.
It's been moved and supported. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, on page 28, it starts with Brenda's budget adjustments. I'm sure she can speak more to this if she would like.
Just my preliminary round. You'll see on the general fund ones, I did use fund balance to balance those out to the tune of $307,789. Most of those are things you've approved since the budget was approved. It's like the part-timer for Chris, the moving the district court part-time probation officer to full-time, those kinds of things. Putting a jury board budget in there. That's about it. A little bit of election stuff.
Coming up on 6 months already.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Jeez.
Time flies. And speaking of that, I'll have the budget calendar for you at the end here. So that's the only one that we used fund balance, that had to use fund balance to balance those transactions. The rest of the funds, they were just little cleanup things.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Brenda on any of the budget adjustments? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve and accept the budget adjustments as presented.
It's been moved and supported to approve the budget adjustments as presented. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, next, starting on page 30 are your warrant reports. First up is warrant report 022622026 in the amount of $273,904.92. Next, warrant report 03052026 in the amount of $227,954.65. Finally, warrant report 03092026, the amount of $612,044.41 for a grand total of $1,113,903.98. Is that right, Brenda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If nobody has any questions, comments, or concerns, I will move to approve the warrant reports as presented.
Support. It's been moved and supported to approve the 3 warrant reports totaling $1,113,903.98. Discussion. If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Next, consent agenda, items 7 through 11 includes millage proposals, resolutions, policy and procedure updates, and budget review. If nobody has anything on that, I would move to place items 7 through 11 of the consent agenda on file.
Support. It's been moved and supported. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and the rest is for your information only, and we have no resolutions. So if nobody has anything else, that'll be your board correspondence for Monday, March 9th.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Peterson.
Thank you.
After correspondence is committee reports. We don't have any. After that, new business, item 1, clerk
I don't
correspondence.
have anything.
Item 2, controller correspondence.
I got a couple things. Today Doug received, Wintel has that little building out there on the west side of our health department that they have equipment in. They're asking to put a gas line in there, I think for air conditioning, correct? Generator. And they need a form, consumers needs a form signed in order to allow that. Is that something everyone is willing to do. And they're paying for that gas, right?
They're doing everything, just consumers need our consent because it's our property.
What was the last snafu when we let them dig gas out in that vicinity? What happened? What did we have wrong?
That was down the road and they hit our
Water
high
line?
line, hit our high lines north of Corpus.
That's right.
Our underground high voltage line.
So if no one has an issue with that, I just would have Chairman Carr sign that for us and we can get that back to him. My other thing is the budget calendar for the new budget development. So I filled in pretty much all of it I just updated the dates according to what they were last year pretty much, other than those July meetings, the develop meetings. Wanted to get your feedback to see when and what times you want to do that, and then I will bring this back for approval at the next meeting. You want one of those? So. So all of the dates, other than those budget work sessions, pretty much I've just slid the same date, just updated but for this year. So what do you think in July? What do you want to
So
do?
July, we have a meeting on the 13th and the 27th as far as board meetings.
Yep, so I will present a preliminary tentative budget to you at your July 13th meeting. Are you wanting to do mornings, afternoons, Tuesday, Thursday scheme? What's your pleasure?
About 1 o'clock would work best for me in July, but if that isn't a popular option, I'll just make it work.
Are you talking on the meeting days on the 13th and
But we're not going to get the budget until the 13th.
Yeah.
I feel like last year we went on that following Friday, so it'd be the 17th, unless people don't want to do Friday meetings.
Friday's fine.
fine with me?
So
1 o'clock.
So 17th at 1 o'clock. And then do we want to take a week? I guess the only thing is going to be is the department head asks. Are we going to do like we did last year and go through them all the first meeting, and then the next week that meeting we decide who we want to hear more from, and then decide the asks at that next
Up to
meeting?
you.
Didn't we have the meeting stacked right in there last year and we kind of knocked it out in about a week or a week and a half?
I
Yeah, it
think
was
so.
Pretty efficient.
So could we come back, if that's the 17th on a Friday, could we come back that
calendar.
Monday, the 20th?
Mm-hmm. And then make the final meeting if needed, the 24th.
20th at 1, and then maybe that Friday again?
I don't care. I'm just trying to get it spaced out.
We're the 20th, and then you said the 24th?
It doesn't matter to me.
That works. If they're at 1 o'clock, what's everyone else think?
17th, 20th, and 24th,
Yep.
tentative, okay.
At 1 o'clock.
All at one?
All in one?
All at one.
And then there's a fourth option there. Do we need to plug a date in there in case needed, or do you think we knock it out?
I think
in
if
3?
We could
if
do the board
anything, we
meeting
could
day.
do it the 27th at 1
Before the board
o'clock
meeting?
before the board meeting, and that would be I feel like that would be a pretty dire situation if we needed it. We needed 4 meetings, but
But we probably should put it on there just so everybody's
Yeah.
got it on their calendar.
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that works good. All right. Well, I will put those in an official communication and be in your next board packet for approval.
Okay,
And that's all I got.
all right, thank you. New business number 3 is chair board correspondence. Chair doesn't have anything. Does anyone else on the board have any correspondence? If not, old business. Item 1 is the animal control building addition, and we have Autumn and Doug both here. I don't know how you guys want to proceed, but come on up. sooner or later, we're gonna, pardon? Yeah, we're gonna need to talk to both of you at some point, so come on out.
Basically, we went out for bid, like you had instructed us to do in one of the February meetings. And that results is in your packet. Of that, oops, I just lost everything. Of that bid process. She was approved for $100,000 in last summer's budget process out of her donations fund.
And this is where we ended up.
And so the cheapest of the three, or the one that Doug was recommending, was JBS, wasn't it, Doug?
Correct.
279. And then Griffiths were in there at 304 and Innovative at 315, and the other ones are on up from there. I guess Nugent was in there at 286, just above JBS, and then Griffiths for the third cheapest, but still.
So I did put a drawing of the blueprint on everybody's desk, so you saw what that was. It's very small to read, so.
When Brenda asked me or shared the bids and Doug's recommendation with me last week, I had thought that we had said one time last year that when we knew that they were coming in this far over the 100,000, that maybe we wanted to rebid it. So is that an option or a possibility?
Always an option.
Do you think there's any validity in the idea that maybe, is there anything, do we need to just rebid it as it is, or do we need to lower our expectations or our scope and rebid it?
If you decide to rebid, we'll lower the expectations. We'll make the building smaller, get rid of some of the, I'm not gonna call it the fluff, but some of the stuff that we could do without, or she could.
You
do
have
without.
drawings? I thought you
I do.
made copies of drawings.
Thank you.
Bunch down here.
And then I had asked Brenda if this was a pole construction, and she said that Mike might have advised us that stick frame was cheaper way to go.
They, depending on who you're talking to, building department, they were riding the fence. It's pretty, it's not a whole lot different one way or the other, so. One contractor tells me pole is cheaper, the other one says stick, so. And again, it depends on what we're building. If we're gonna shrink it down, probably the stick built would be the cheaper way. It's all the difference between 6x6s and concrete and different things like that. So I did throw it out to a couple of the contractors after I saw the numbers come in and asked them on this. That's why it's such a rough sketch. I just threw it at them and said, if we did this and threw out some of the stuff that the architect actually went a little overboard on that we don't need, where would we be at? And I had two numbers under 200,000. That's the best I can tell you right now without actually having a working drawing to send out to bid.
Are the Amish builders in the community an option for something like this, or don't they have the right
I
insurance?
called one or two of them that we've used on animal control before, and I got no answer, no response back. So
We did use one.
They put up the like.
Yeah.
lean-to.
Country Boys, wasn't it?
Yep. Country Boy
that
Builders,
sounds right.
they're the ones I called. They're the only ones I know around here, but
Shrocks or over in Vickeryville area.
There's a couple up by me that are builders. How long, if we decide to put this back out for bids, this would be the format that we would bid?
it would be drawn a little better than that, but yeah.
Now with this, the new format, could we go to pole barn style or are we still going to stick?
Honestly, I left that up to the bidders, what they felt was the cheapest
Oh,
way, because
okay.
I don't care. It's a pole barn now. To me, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
It's all gonna look the same in the end.
Right.
So I was just leaving that open. I don't know who bid what. I didn't go through the bids that far just because I knew we weren't probably going to accept any of them at the time. I didn't spend a lot of time on them. So what we've done is, if you look at the old and the new drawings, we have eliminated the mechanical room because we've shrunk the building down to about half size. Everybody thinks we can use the existing furnace. Water heater we can reuse. So there it's just a matter of tying on to the existing equipment. So we've eliminated 2 pieces of equipment there. We've shrunk the building down. We've got some of the bigger areas that are shrunk down about as far as we can shrink. We did have a meet and greet area to introduce them to the pets they might adopt. We're going to try to work that into a dual purpose between the vet's room and that room. So we've eliminated a room completely right there. Got rid of the lobby, got rid of the office extension, pretty much shrunk it down to the nuts and bolts that they really need to allow them to extend the business, I guess, a little bit, because they're pretty much bursting at the seams out there now with hardly any storage and really no place for people to interact with the animals before they adopt them. That's my 10 cents.
Yeah, no, good. Did you have anything on them that you wanted to add about the plan?
I mean, if people had specific questions about it, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay.
As far as like what exactly we're doing or plans for it.
Okay. Anyone? Any questions for either one?
That's true.
Does this get you, sorry.
No, go for
I'm
it. You
sorry.
got it in there. Go.
Does this get you close to where you want to be?
I mean, we can definitely make it work, obviously. Adding square footage on definitely helps because right now our lobby, if you haven't been in, we use for quite a few different things. So like our lobby, not only for people to just generally come in, is also used for like our general intake. So any animal that comes in, we do standard vaccines on, we have to weigh them. So that's all done in there. Our scale is also in our lobby. And then we also use our lobby for our meet and greet rooms. Anytime a dog comes in for a family to meet, we bring them typically up there. More so in the winter. If it's nicer in the summer, we can use our play yard. So our lobby is used for quite a few different areas. So it definitely gets cramped if you haven't been in there. If you get a larger family, it comes in of 5, 6, there's not much room. So having just a bigger area for people to come in would definitely be ideal. As far as the lobby, having like meet and greet-ish room, the part behind the vet room, right now, anything we get in that goes up for adoption has to be spay and neutered. It's actually required by MDARD. So we partner with a few different veterinarians. Typically, the Humane Animal Treatment Society, they have a health clinic that's ran out of their shelter. So we're driving typically to and from Mount Pleasant at least once a week for spay and neuter surgeries. They're the most cost effective as far as getting us in and the amount of surgeries that they can do. Where Sterner's and Ionia does all of our like standard, like if we get a dog gets hit by a car, we're taking them there. So it'd be nice to get a room in for a vet to hopefully come in to do surgeries. So we're not doing as much running around in two. I would hope later on down the road, it'd be nice to get a vet to come in. It could also offer that to the public. Montcalm doesn't have any low cost spay neuter clinics in our area. We did have the Spay Neuter Express that was in Greenville, but they moved back to, I want to say it was like Alto area. So I'd like to be able to at some point later on down the road be able to offer that even up to the public since there's definitely a need for it.
Okay. Anyone else? Commissioner Fletcher and Peterson.
Autumn, so this plan that Doug drew up, were you, I assume you guys were kind of throwing ideas back and forth and this is what you settled on? Would this be adequate for what you're trying to do, or would you like to see
Definitely make
more?
it work. I'd be happy with any addition on to the building. It would definitely be beneficial for us.
Where's the front door on, where do people come in on this drawing?
Just to the left of the handicap symbol.
Okay.
That, what was the lobby on the original drawing is now a 6, 7, 8 foot wide area with just like some seats and the walk-up window just inside the door. So.
Gotcha. So do we need a motion to put this back out for bid, or?
Yeah. I have one question if we could. My question is, if it comes in at 198,000, is that an acceptable price you're willing to do? Or are we just spinning our wheels to see where it's at, I guess, is my question. I don't like to have contractors bidding and bidding and bidding and then,
That's
so we
valid.
don't have the money anyways to do it.
That's a
So,
valid question. I guess I don't know. We knew the 100,000 was a slam dunk based on the money that was in the fund. Beyond that, I guess we haven't had any real discussion about how much more we could pony up to do it. So, if you want to know that before you put it back out for bids, we probably need to have some discussion about that at some point to decide what our,
I just think it'd be fair to the bidders for all the effort they put into it. It's- To bid something like this is 3 to 4 days of work. So to gain nothing out of it if there's no chance of getting the job.
And I've told some of you, I don't know if all of you have heard it yet, but we do get some revenue sharing that we have to spend on public safety. And this year that amount is 105,000. So we could put, and animal control does fall under the public safety umbrella. So we could apply that to this project.
is the sheriff counting on that already or?
No,
It's not earmarked. He doesn't have any
No.
dibs
No.
on it then.
no, I told him that we probably would be spending it elsewhere this year.
He is hurting for money though.
Is everyone-
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Commissioner Johnston.
my concern is I've heard twice or 3 times now, we can make it work. Is this something we want to downsize now and 2 years down the road, come back and say we need more space? Or for $80,000, I think we're talking about 200,000 to 280,000 roughly. Do we want to bid it all right now and build a building that hopefully in 2 years, we're not wanting to expand it? Because if we do, it's going to cost more than $80,000 to have to come back and add on again. I mean, is it smart to spend the money now and build a nice building that we need?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I keep bumping up against the fact that if you go down to like Ionia, their animal control department is huge. Very nice building. I mean, we get beat up all the time being compared to Gratiot, Ionia, and Newaygo counties, and our animal control is essentially run out of a pole barn. Not the best look, especially when you've got all those nice buildings over there going up, you know, the new pandemic readiness building, the EMS being added on to. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing this, but 280,000 is a pretty big price to swallow. But you know, if we have that $100,000 grant, I know Autumn spent some of her $100,000 skin in the game to get these drawings done. I mean, if we had to come up with 80,000, I'm sure we could do it. I know there's money in capital improvements. I know there's money places. It's just a matter of, you know, like Commissioner Johnston saying, are we willing to put up a nice building or are we just going to go halfway because it's a little bit less money, I guess. I don't know. I think it's been very, I have a soft spot for animal control, so I'm gonna vote for whatever they want to do.
I don't know that I disagree with any of that, and I don't know that the 280 or whatever isn't something we want to do. I guess the conversation the controller and I had is it was approaching 3 times higher than what we had initially put out there for bids, and we didn't feel comfortable throwing it on our agenda today as just an approve it or not type agenda request with it being that high. Wondered if we needed some other discussion about other options or whatever else. But if that's the board's wishes to go that route, we certainly can.
Commissioner Chair.
Yeah.
What, going with the smaller version, it's half the size and 2/3 of the cost. And what kind of time frame would we be looking at before we would need to be looking at? I mean, if making it work, for how long?
I guess that's a good question. I don't know necessarily how long. I know some of the larger square footage had like storage, like closets onto it and just additional room. I don't know how long we'd be able to make it work. We're not too picky, so, but I hate to, like Commissioner Johnson said, do a portion of it and then have to come back later and ask for more.
And I would 100% agree with that.
Could it be something that, I don't want to call it a handshake agreement, but more of a, if we do pony up the 286, maybe, going forward, we have an agreement with the animal control. You guys pay back what you're comfortable paying out of donations to the tune of, 50,000 or whatever that would be, just so we don't feel like we're grabbing it all out of the general fund and you guys still have a little bit more skin in the game. I don't want to earmark donations, but I just wonder if that's something we'd be,
I wouldn't be opposed.
right?
Chairman Carr.
Sure, go ahead, Commissioner Mahar.
I'd like to find a way to make this work.
Yeah.
I think that this department has done with less for a lot of years and has been through some times where they were almost non-existent. And they continue to operate to the best they can and serve the people of Montcalm County. And I think we're close here with $100,000 and then with this law enforcement grant. I think our sheriff's office is sitting pretty good financially. And so I would think we would probably look somewhere else, and they are a county law enforcement operation. So then we're left with, maybe somewhere around $80,000 to $100,000. I think we can get that figured out.
Okay. Anyone
Mr. Chair,
else? Commissioner Alexander.
I just had a question. What services would be added? Like, would we be making more room to potentially bring in more animals for storage?
So with the addition, we were hoping, because right now we don't have open hours, so I was gonna add in open hours, so that would help for just general intakes, adoptions. And my hope is to, once we get everything figured out, hopefully have the vet room in, to either have a vet come in to do just our surgeries, but I'd eventually like to get it for the community to use.
So would that increase the amount of animals we could take in?
Depending, I guess, we could take in some more animals. I mean, our cat room would be larger. That would be going on our addition. The animals that would come in for like surgeries wouldn't necessarily be like intakes, but more just a service and potentially revenue for the county, depending what contractor, how we worked it out for a bit. If they took the liability, kind of like we did for our spay and neuter clinic that we had at the pandemic building, where they came in and because we had a grant for it, so the public paid us low cost for like the spay neuter, the rabies, and the microchip, or if they paid the vet like directly for those services. So just kind of what we figure out with that vet.
So is there any potential for a revenue stream?
I think we could, depending how we worked it out, I guess. If we contracted with the vet and said, we'll pay you, maybe up to do like X amount of surgeries for that day, or we pay them for the day or week, however we worked it out. So we could potentially make money depending how we did it. Or if the vet was on staff like some other counties have, so we're just paying the vet and then they would just do the services for us. Something to figure out, I guess. I haven't got that far.
One more thing. We're currently transporting animals from here to other places to have stuff done.
Yep.
And that is part of we would be able to do that in-house? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm hoping to do, is have a vet come in to do like spay and neuter surgeries and some of our general health checks. So then we're not having to go, like right now we're driving to Mount Pleasant, typically same day, morning and afternoon. And then depending what comes in during the week as far as like emergency cases to and from like Sterners. So hoping to cut down on just time and resources driving to and from different places for those services.
What kind of frequency are we seeing that on?
We drive to Mount Pleasant once a week, and then depending on the week, what comes in for, like sometimes we're at Sterners 2 or 3 days a week. Sometimes we don't go in a week. It's just hit or miss depending what we get in.
Are you going to be able to have a vet come in that frequently though?
I've talked to one that would be interested in coming in, but I don't know how frequently at this point.
Another thing, I don't know how many people been out there. This is my take on it. Sheila works there every day. I don't. So when you come in the door by the handicap, looking at, I don't care which drawing, you come up and you take a left where the bathroom's at. When you go out into that larger area, that's where all the dog kennels are at. So you have to go by them in order to get to the cat room, which is where I have it labeled future laundry. That's the cat room at the top of the page, a little to the left of center. So everybody that wants to look at adopting a cat has to listen to all those barking dogs in a cement block building. It's kind of gives you a headache just going in and out. But so that's one benefit to the addition, whether or not it's the full edition or half edition. But if you haven't been there, everything's on top of everything. The furnace room is half storage room, which I don't care for. So that's another nice point, is that if we open up that cat room, we have a chance for storage room, or again, future laundry. The laundry in the back, we're using commercial grade, residential commercial grade, I would say, washers and dryers, where we really need more like the jail has because of all the sand and everything else that these dog beds and everything else seem to collect. So down the road, right now, we have no room to put them in the back where things are at now. So that was my thought of, someday that might become an area big enough to put the units that are 4 foot square versus the ones you have at home, commercial grade. So, because we've been eating them up about once every 4 or 5 years. We're going through a washer.
So would the board, would it calm everybody's nerves if we had our animal control director, if we say, okay, we're going to approve it, 286,000, you figure 100,000 is already earmarked, 105,000 for the grant. So say just nice round figures, we have 80,000 left over. If we could get Autumn to pledge 40,000 over the next, say, 5 years. So the general fund would only be on the hook $40,000. Would that be an easier pill for the board to swallow?
By that.
So that
Looks like a lot of nodding.
40,000 pledge, that would have to be a motion. That would have to be a motion on paper for the auditors.
Right,
And
right.
we'd have to do the
Yeah,
correct.
no, yeah, it'd have to be,
How burdensome is that for Autumn? How long did it take you to raise the 100 that you've got? If we were expecting you to pay 40 back over 5, is that a really tough road for you, or would that?
I missed the first part of it. Sorry. What'd you say?
I just wonder how much of a burden that would be to expect you to pay 40 back over a period of 5 years. I don't know how
I
long
don't
it
think
took
it
you to
would be
raise
too
the.
bad. We typically take in a fair amount of donations.
We're just gonna run a report to see where you're at right now.
What the other question I had, Doug, you'd mentioned
23
that
right
maybe
now.
there was some fluff in this based on the architect. If
Talking
we
to
just
some,
stayed with the same plan, but cut out some of that, what you're
talking to the contractors, some of them were saying, that the steel that he picked for the outside is like 3 times thicker than they use on any other pole barn. So they felt they could shrink that down. What he had designed for the wainscoting to keep animals from scratching the wall could be done in what they have now, which is just the galvanized tin. So there is some places to cut. Is it going to be 10,000? Is it going to be 15,000? I don't have any idea. But they were just saying that there is some overkill in there.
Do we want to try and eliminate that at a minimum, or no? I mean, is it something we'd want to approve your recommendation for JBS, but then have you work with them to?
And they're more than willing to do that. They were one of them that mentioned that. Griffith was the other one that said that the architect, I told him I wanted the basics. I did the whole floor plan. He was just supposed to draw it to make the building inspector happy to have sealed drawings. He added a lot of stuff that he's probably used on other animal controls that had money, or however you want to word it. But so, yeah, they all saw places that there could be some dollars cut, but I don't think you're going to see much more than a $10,000 to $15,000 cut.
She has 123,000 as of right now today in her fund.
I could get on board with your suggestion, Commissioner Peterson, if that was a plan.
Autumn, is that something you wanted?
I'll do that if that's something the board will go with.
Brenda, where What all funding sources will we have to use to come up with the 280,000, 279, whatever it is here? I mean,
So she has 123,000 in her fund right now,
Yeah.
her donations fund. We have 105,000 of our revenue sharing that we have to use for public safety. So that'll take, we'll have to use 105,000 more in fund balance for the other budgetary items. It'll just have to come from fund balance, the remainder.
Which at this point, you're talking about almost 230, it'd be like another 56. If it was the 286 number, or 279. so it'd be at
279.
Well, if you're using some of these donations for
50,000.
49, 50,000.
what might, I guess, suffer? Where would you normally use that money?
I do have a veterinary line as well as a medical line that we use for most of our veterinary and
In the
medical, general fund. That's already budgeted for. A lot of our donations we use for like more emergency cases. If we got like a dog that was hit by a car and needed like a leg amputation, which thankfully we don't see many of. Or if it starts to get towards the end of the year and we start to go over like dogs that need heartworm treatment. So just more of the outside of the general scope of what our standard like spay, neuter, and vaccines are.
So I think, I gotta get back there now because I
Do you
closed it, but I
think that-
think you used 3,000 already of it this year.
Okay.
Do you think you could still accumulate the 40,000 in 5 years and still do that stuff that?
I do.
you talked
Or
about?
600.
Yeah.
Is that a hard number with you or half of?
No, I just figured half of the remaining balance. I mean, when we say she's got 123 in her donations, I don't know if, and it would be up to her and the board. I don't know if we want to wipe that completely out. So I would say 100 out of there, leave her with 23. If nothing else, you'd have that pot to at least be able to start paying us back to the tune of, 8,000 a year or whatever it would be. And then 105,000. So we'd be at 205. So that would put us at 75,000. We split the baby right down the middle. She pays us back her half. We eat the other half and everybody's happy. Well, I don't know about everybody. but
Most everybody.
Most everybody.
Is that a motion?
I don't know how I would have to word it, but I would move to accept JBS's contracting bid for the animal control addition not to exceed $279,052 with $100,000 coming out of animal control's donations, $105,000 coming out of a reimbursement grant for law enforcement, and the remaining balance being split between the animal control and the general fund, with half of the remaining balance being paid back by the animal control department with donations.
Sounds like that's how you'd say it. They're taping, Chris. Is there
Other than that, revenue sharing money is for public safety, not law enforcement.
Okay. Public.
is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported. I don't know how, are you up to speed on it, Chris?
No, I was waiting for you
To
just to,
repeat it back?
yeah.
Kind of dozing off there.
Hey, I did as best as I could.
So 100 from the animal control donations, 105 from the revenue sharing to be used for public safety, and the remaining balance to be split between animal control donations and fund balance with half. The with half is where I'm caught.
For the animal control to pay back over the next 5 years with donations, animal control's portion. I don't know. I did the best I could.
It was good.
I started tailing off towards the end
It
too.
was good.
Everybody got that?
I do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I'll go back and listen to the tape.
Under discussion, are we still wanting Doug to see if JBS has any concessions to be had, or are we really setting it up to pay the 270?
I would say the cheaper the better, because then it would be less that we have to pay,
Right.
less that animal control has to pay back. I would say whatever. I don't want to cut corners and do it like that, but like you said, the 3 times thicker steel. Just see what they recommend, and if it saves us money, great. if they read the paper and know that we're approved at 286, I doubt they'll be able to save a ton of money, but.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
just want to go on record saying I'm going to vote yes for this motion because the end game is the same, but I don't feel good about making animal control pay back anything out of it.
Okay.
I was going to make the same comment. The money's donated to help take care of the animals and whatever, and I'm willing to swallow that pill myself.
I have no problem amending my motion to say no payback. I really don't, but I just figured it would be easier for us to just be able to say, okay, we're not eating the whole 80,000. But I also think if Autumn does run short on a donation year, I don't think we're gonna foreclose on her.
I don't take to quoting people very often, but Gandhi said the greatness of a nation is its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated.
You can, anyone's free to amend the motion on the floor to change that portion of it if they wish.
Who supported that motion?
I've supported
The
it.
original one.
Murray.
I can withdraw support so that Adam can amend his.
I think that
Motion.
someone else can make an amendment to
Yeah.
the motion that's on the floor to forego the payback from animal control and that the whole amount just comes from the county
motion.
fund balance.
With that being said, Chairman, I'd like to amend Adam's motion to not require animal control to pay us back anything.
Okay, there's support.
Support.
So it's been moved to amend the motion to not require animal control to pay back anything on the original motion. Discussion.
Yeah, Mr.
Change my
Chair,
whole motion, but I'm not gonna say all that again.
I'm gonna vote no on this just because I think 3 times what we budgeted is quite a bit. And I just don't think it's a good precedent to set. So I'm a huge supporter of animal control and all that, love animals, but it just seems like we budgeted 100,000. And I had thought it was more just for like a vet room, but it seems like now we've kind of expanded the scope. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but it just seems like 3 times what we budgeted is quite a bit, so.
Okay. Any other discussion on the amendment?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Commissioner Alexander. I felt like we kind of came to a pretty good compromise. Certainly, I do feel the facility is needed, and certainly I would not want to see anything go, I guess, untaken care of because of donations being used for this. But I do believe that the money is there. And to go from 100 to 300 is a pretty significant increase. So I'm not sure I'm going to vote just yet.
Okay. Any other discussion on the amendment?
I would love a roll call.
Okay, if there's no other discussion, we'll vote first on the amendment with a roll call.
Alexander,
No.
Johnston,
Yes.
Mahar,
No.
Murray,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yeah.
Peterson,
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Amendment carried.
Amendment carried. Now the full motion as amended is to allow animal control or Doug to accept the bid from JBS Contracting at the set price. The money to come from 100,000 from animal control donations, 105 from the law enforcement grant,
Public safety,
Public
revenue
safety.
sharing.
revenue sharing out of fund balance, and the remainder out of general fund balance. Discussion. Just on the sake of making this super complicated, is there any of those other funds that we don't spend at all, the marijuana money, anything else that we'd have available to cover the overage?
We don't have marijuana money coming in yet. We'll be getting it in the next month or two. But you could potentially use marijuana money for that.
Just a question. I think we're in all right shape if we want to transfer money from that to this project instead of fund balance at a later time. We could probably make that change. But is there any other discussion on the amended motion then?
Might as well roll call this one too.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, roll call, please.
Johnston,
Yes.
Mahar,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Alexander,
No.
Carr,
Yes,
motion carried.
motion carried. Okay. See how much you can get them to knock off it, Doug.
Really low ball 'em.
Got some dirt on a few of them.
There you go.
Thank you all.
Go to Elizabeth.
Old business, that ends old business. Public comments.
Since to most of you, it really doesn't matter who I am. I will just forego all that.
You might as well do it so the clerk. has it.
My freedom of speech doesn't even say I have to, so I won't.
No, go ahead. Our rules say that you need to introduce.
Your rules, I'm not gonna waste my time on your
I'll
rules.
just rule you out of order and we'll end the meeting right now. Our rules say the clerk would like to have the record of who's speaking, what their address is. So if you don't want to comply with that, I'll
Your
just rule you out of
rules, your rules are.
that's what our bylaws state.
Your
Everyone
rules are
else-
violating my free
Everyone
speech.
else complies with
Yes,
that.
but I would love this. Go ahead.
and tell us.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead and tell us who you are and what your address is. Go ahead and
First
tell
of
us
all,
who
my
you are.
question is, why are you guys having
You're
these
out of
meetings
order.
at 4
Out of
p.m.?
order. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Or been moved and supported to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.